Now, next we turn to these shocking wildfires on the US West Coast. We know at least 7 people have died and tens of thousands of people have had to evacuate. And we're seeing some terrifying and extraordinary images coming into us. This is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. The smoke and ash has turned the sky that apocalyptic shade of orange. Here's one resident.
11:15. Crazy. 11:15 in the morning, and it's like the middle of the night almost. So
now, there are still a number of fires in California that are not under control. These pictures are near the town of El Dorado. This is the fire that was started by a firework at a gender reveal party. Well, this is far from over. Less than 20% of that fire has been contained. If we go from California to Oregon, further up the coast, we're told several small towns have all but been destroyed. The fires are being driven by strong winds and by record temperatures. And this satellite image gives you an idea of the scale of what's happening across the coastal region. In California, these are already the worst fires ever recorded in a single year. Remember, last year, there were really serious fires last year. Well, the fires of 2020 have burnt an area 20 times the size of where we'd reached on this date in 2019. And this graphic, tweeted by the state's firefighting agency, CAL FIRE, is also helpful. There have been more than 7,500 fires, it tells us. And remember, September and October are the most serious months. So these are early days. Well, this is what it looks like on the map, also from CAL FIRE. The agency says there are around 3 million of the state's 12 million homes at high risk, and that over 2 million acres have already been affected in total. There are also more than 14,000 firefighters tackling these fires in California, but the sheer number and ferocity, as you'd imagine, is taking its toll.
It's just stretched resources thin across the state. So it's the worst conditions I've seen in my career. It's going to be a historic season ever in California. Well, right now, there's not much we can do to stop them. We're really in a protection mode, trying to protect the life and property because they're running around homes and burning down homes. So all the manpower is focused on protecting those structures and life, and the helicopters and air tankers are doing what they can to help slow the fire down.
From California back to Oregon, where the situation is also dire. This is a map from the state authorities there, telling us there are 37 active fires and nearly 700,000 acres have been burned through. And there still could be worse to come. Oregon's governor has made this statement saying, "We expect to see a great deal of loss, both in structures and in human lives. This could be the greatest loss of human lives and property due to wildfire in our state's history." And these are some Oregonians who've already lost their homes.
I have no complaint. I'm healthy. My family is healthy. And with a 66 years old guy, I have gone through ups and downs so many times. This is just one more time.
Sheriff's coming through going, level 3, get out.
Wow.
Get out. And yeah, grab some papers. Grab some papers and stuff, and threw it in. This is it. This is what I've got.
What you're wearing right now.
This is what I've got.
Well, needless to say, as we're watching all of this play out, the issue of climate change is central. Here's what one bioclimatologist quoted in the New York Times has said. This climate change connection is straightforward. Warmer temperatures dry out fuels. In areas with abundant and very dry fuels, all you need is a spark. And then there's this from Barack Obama, who's tweeted, "The fires across the West Coast are just the latest examples of the very real ways our changing climate is changing our communities. Protecting our planet is on the ballot," he says. "Vote like your life depends on it, because it does." And here's what the governor of California said earlier this week.
I quite literally have no patience for climate change deniers. It simply follows completely inconsistent, that point of view, with the reality on the ground, the facts as we are experiencing. You may not believe it intellectually, but your own eyes, your own experiences tell a different story, particularly out here in the West Coast of the United States, and particularly here in the state of California.
Now, President Trump declared the fires in California a major disaster at the end of August. That freed up federal aid money. He has also been critical of the state's forestry practices in the past. In 2018, he said poor forest management was responsible for the fires. This week, as the situation has escalated, he hasn't commented on what's happening. Well, let's go live now to CBS's Lilia Luciano, who's in Phoenix, Oregon. Thank you very much for joining us. Tell us what you've seen today, please.
Thank you for having me. I am standing right in the middle of an RV park, a park of trailers. A bunch of people who lived here in this area have lost absolutely everything. This is one of 5 towns that was completely leveled, almost to its entirety. The federal government is estimating now that here the fire that caused this cost about 600 homes, or destroyed about 600 homes. I just met some folks who, a single mother who was living with her son in this trailer for about 20 years, and she has nowhere to go. There's a lot of Hispanic, Latino families here, working families here that have nothing to start with or to start from. I met a man who doesn't have access to his property to see its condition so that he can start taking photos to provide to his insurance to even get that process started. And what's really interesting is all of these people I've spoken with are staying with family members because they have family members or they have access to some place to go. Of course, you add to the trauma and the tragedy of the property loss, of the loss of life that's been happening, the pandemic. And so there are shelters both provided by the state and by the counties where people are going to, either because they were evacuated or because now they know that they've lost everything. But you're grouping people in these areas in the middle of a pandemic. So the situation it's worse than I think any time before that I've covered wildfires.
Lilia, it looks absolutely terrifying. The scene behind you is one of complete destruction. What have you heard about the moments as the fire approached, how quickly it came upon the people?
It takes 15 minutes. That's the time that people have to evacuate, to think about what to bring with them, to decide. And most people have told me, I grabbed my child, I grabbed my dog. I spoke with an elderly woman yesterday who lived in a nursing home where about 40 people had to be evacuated. It was completely burned to the ground. And she was telling me about the photos of her husband, of her late husband, that now she regrets not having been able to take. But over here, people were being told by police to get out, and they were still trying in this area where I'm standing. They were still trying with buckets of water and fire hoses to do the best they could to protect their property or to stop the fire. But of course, that's inevitably, it completely destroyed the area. So most people ran out with the shoes they were wearing, the clothes they had on. It's just no time to decide. 15 minutes maximum.
Terrifying. Lilia, thank you very much for bringing us up today. That's Lilia Luciano from Phoenix, Oregon. Lilia's with CBS.